So Fallout is a pretty wacky franchise with a lot of games. But where do each of the games rank? Let's find out, starting with Fallout 1.
Your bones are scraped clean by the desolate wind.
Imagine it's the late 90s, and you're playing this game with its top-down, isometric view, and it's set in this super bleak, post-apocalyptic world where everything's gone to shit after a nuclear war. You are the Vault Dweller, stepping out of a vault for the first time to find a water chip to save your vault. The game is all about choices and consequences. You talk to people, fight mutants, raiders, and make decisions that really shape the world around you. The graphics are old school and might look a bit rough now, but the storytelling and atmosphere are just top notch. It's dark and it's gritty, which is what makes Fallout so great. Fallout 1 is a true classic and laid the foundation for everything that came after. For its impact and depth, I'm gonna place it in A tier, a solid ranking for the first game. Alright, Fallout 2 came out a year after the first one, in 1998. This game takes everything that was great about Fallout 1 and cranks it up a notch. You're playing as the Chosen One, a descendant of the original Vault Dweller. You are on a quest to save your village from drought by finding an ancient device called the Gek. Fallout 2 is a bigger game, literally. There are more towns to explore, more quests to tackle, and the humor is, well, humorous.
Where is your power armor?
You can do all sorts of weird stuff in this game. Join factions, get married, become a corn star. A lot of crazy stuff. Now the game has some bugs and issues, but let's be honest. Frank Horrigan fixes all of these. He is an amazing antagonist. Perfect for the Fallout series. And because of Frank Horrigan, Fallout 2 gets placed into an S tier.
Welcome to the Brotherhood of Steel.
Fallout Tactics: Brotherhood of Steel, released in 2001. It is a bit different from the main Fallout games. Instead of being a traditional RPG, it's more of a tactical squad-based strategy game. You could expect something from the likes of Warhammer. You lead a squad from the Brotherhood of Steel, taking on missions in a post-apocalyptic wasteland. The focus here is on combat and strategy. You control your squad, plan out your moves, and engage in turn-based battles. It's pretty fun if you're into tactical games, but it took a really long step away from the main thing that dragged in people to the Fallout series, the RPG elements. And overall, it was alright, it wasn't that great. So, to be honest, Fallout Tactics gets placed into C tier.
Nuclear weapons were used without restraint. It was the night.
Time to talk about probably the most infamous game in the Fallout series, Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, which released in 2004. Now this one is kind of an oddball. It was released for the PS2 and Xbox, and it's more of an action RPG with a hack and slash style rather than the traditional Fallout experience. You play as a Brotherhood of Steel initiate, fighting your way through hordes of enemies in a series of linear levels. The game has a more arcade-like feel with a lot of button mashing combat, and it's got some of the Fallout flavor in there with the setting and lore, but it doesn't capture that deep, immersive role-playing vibe that the fans loved. It's also probably one of the worst games of all time, so to F tier you go. Fallout 3, the first Bethesda game, released in 2008. This game was a game changer, literally. Bethesda took the series from its isometric roots into a full 3D, first-person perspective, and it was awesome. You start off as a kid in Vault 101, and after a dramatic escape, you find yourself in the vast, open wasteland of Washington, D.C. The world is massive, filled with ruined buildings and dangerous creatures. The freedom to explore this post-apocalyptic landscape is one of the game's biggest positives. Fallout 3 is packed with memorable quests and moral choices that actually affects the game's outcome. But the best addition is probably the VATS system, which lets you target specific limbs and cripple them. An awesome feature from the original games. However, Fallout 3 isn't without its flaws. Some fans of the original games felt the RPG elements were simplified. The main story, while engaging, can feel a bit linear compared to the vastness of the open world. There are also bugs and glitches that can pull you out of the immersiveness of the game, which it is a Bethesda game, so you gotta expect those. And while the world is large, some parts of the map can feel a bit empty or repetitive. Fallout 3 is honestly a solid A tier. It changed the entire franchise from the top-down roots into the first-person perspective. Great change. Oh boy, Fallout New Vegas. The fans of this game are pretty well spoken on how great this game is. It was released in 2010 by Obsidian Entertainment. It was made using the same engine Fallout 3 was made with, so it's quite outdated compared to today's standards. But anyways, you play as the Courier, who gets shot in the head and left for dead, only to survive and set out on a quest for revenge in the Mojave Wasteland. In fact, in Fallout New Vegas, there are a ton of different paths you can take. You can join the Brotherhood of Steel, Enclave Remnants, the Legion, or just kill everybody that isn't you. Fallout New Vegas is probably one of the best RPG games of all time. Oh, and the DLCs? Mwah, perfection. They add a lot of content that you can do practically whenever you want during your playthrough. However, the game is not without its fair share of bugs. Again, Bethesda games, am I right? Which fortunately, you can mod the game to fix a lot of these, and even make the game look like it came out this year. Because of this, I think Fallout New Vegas safely places into the S tier. Well done.
War. War never changes. From the beginning, there has always been chaos.
Next up, we have Fallout Shelter, which released in 2015. Unlike the main series games, this was more of a spin-off. It was a free-to-play mobile game that puts you in the shoes of a vault overseer. Your job is to build and manage your own vault, keeping your dwellers happy, healthy, and safe from the dangers of the wasteland. The game is all about resource management and planning. You build different rooms to generate power, food, and water, and you can assign your dwellers to tasks based on their stats. You can also send them out into the wasteland to scavenge for supplies and face various dangers. It's a fun game at first, but it can get pretty boring. And because of this, Fallout Shelter gets placed into C tier. Now, time to talk about Fallout 4, the first real Bethesda Fallout game. It came out in 2015, and Bethesda took us to the Commonwealth this time, with the game set in the ruins of Boston. You start off just before the bombs fall, and even witness one exploding. And after witnessing the destruction of your entire world, you wake up 200 years later from cryogenic sleep in search of your kidnapped son and avenging your dead wife. Fallout 4 brought some significant changes and improvements. The graphics were much better than previous games, and the gunplay was a lot more refined, making combat much more enjoyable. The game introduced a new crafting system that let you build and customize settlements, which added a whole new layer of gameplay. You could spend hours just building the perfect base. Now the story though, it wasn't great, but it wasn't bad either. It was pretty in between. Fallout 4 is less of an RPG game and more of an open world action, explore wherever you want game. You don't really need to follow the story. You can literally just go around and shoot people. And oh boy, the dialogue system was pretty simple compared to the previous entries into the series. But I feel the changes to the gameplay makes this game pretty good. Especially the power armor changes. It actually feels like you're wearing a suit of armor. A real suit of power armor. Like you're walking around in a tank. The DLCs are also pretty good. Far Harbor was one of the most exceptional Fallout DLCs of all time. And let's not forget the modding potential. After all, this is a Bethesda game. And because of this and all the other changes I noted, I think Fallout 4 gets placed in S tier.
Democracy itself is under threat of annihilation.
Alright, time for Fallout 76. Probably the roughest in the series. It came out in 2018. Bethesda decided to take the series in a new direction with this one, making it an online multiplayer game set in the massive open world of West Virginia. You play as one of the first people to emerge from Vault 76, tasked with rebuilding after the bombs have fallen. At launch, Fallout 76 was really rough. The game was full of bugs and glitches. I mean, there's even an internet historian video you can watch on it. It's like 2 hours long. It is ridiculous how many bugs and glitches there were at launch. And it was also missing a lot of the human NPCs and quest lines. Instead, you got like these voice logs to go do quests with, which kind of took away from the story element and the RPG stuff. At launch, I would probably rank Fallout 76 at a D tier. However, over the years, Bethesda has really improved Fallout 76. They've added NPCs, new quests, new regions to explore with updates like Wastelanders and Steel Dawn. These updates have brought so much more life to the game and personality, making it feel more like a traditional Fallout experience. And to add the multiplayer aspect on top of it, it could be a pretty fun game to play with friends. And granted, it's probably really boring solo, but it's advertised as a game you can play with friends. So after all the updates and the DLCs, I think Fallout 76 safely places into the B tier. Well everybody, that's each and every single Fallout game ranked. Where do you guys think certain games should have been placed? Or do you think the list was pretty spot on? Make sure to let me know in the comments below. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Check out my Discord and make sure to like and subscribe for more Mortal Wounds.